Well, hello, guys.
Hi.
Hey, MEKCI.
I'm here. I missed you guys.
Yeah, right? It's so good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Well, I mean, today you and I got talking about this case and everything that's going on and how to try and figure it out. And it's like, I'm sure everybody's the same as you and I are.
Yeah. But how do you even begin to figure it out? Because it's like there's more questions.
There's a lot.
More.
There's a lot of questions. So they did sent out a, let me see here, notice to pursue basically the death penalty is now on the table. So I've got the paperwork for that. Pretty much figured this was coming,
Right.
but
It was a given. For sure.
Absolutely. Oh, right, Shauna. My head's spinning about this stuff. I'm telling you. I know. I mean, I made a list today of just some of the questions I have. Oh my word. Unreal. So even trying to figure out the time that he left that house at 4:20 to when his vehicle showed up at, what was it, MEKCI?
On 95 at like 4:48 is when his cell phone like started using service again.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got him missing 20 minutes is basically what we're kind of figuring out here.
Yeah, because it's like an 8-minute drive if you're taking the fast route. That's going down the main road and then hitting that gas station and then getting on 95. But the cops, they suspect that he came out through that back neighborhood on
Exactly.
Sandpit. So where was he for 20 minutes?
Where is that 20 minutes? And I mean, you and I were looking at that botanical garden today.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring up that map? Do you want to start with that, MEKCI?
Yeah, I can for sure.
Okay. We were trying for, oh my goodness, you and I tried for about an hour to get onto the other. I really like the other stream provider, but just having problems getting you on there.
Can you see that?
There we go.
Yeah. So this right here on 95, it's just like west of Blaine almost. This is where his cell phone came back on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was at 4:48 a.m.
Yeah.
We did the mapping from the King Road house to that specific location is an 8-minute drive.
Yep. Yeah.
So 4:17 is when they heard those screams. You think he went, what, screeching out of there at like 4:20?
That's what they're saying, 4:20. So, and you and I were figuring being that his phone is off, there is no pings. So that if that is not his car, it gave him a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
That gave him a lot of options.
So this red square here is pretty much like just the hot area, right? They took a lot of footage from around this area. The cops say that they even came back here into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And because they don't find him on any footage, they think that he came out right around here.
Right.
At 4:20 a.m.
Yeah.
What? Guys, we looked at this botanical gardens. I saw it on Google. It said it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
There's a little pond there.
Yeah. And I don't think that's very small if you compare that to the size of the houses.
Yeah. It's a pretty big area.
Makes you wonder if they have searched that.
It makes me wonder the same thing. And look at this, guys. Like that one of the
Well, hi,
exits
Clifton.
is right on Sandpit Road, where they
Yeah.
think he exited. Look, this is like Delphi 2.0. Look how secluded this is.
Right? Yeah. Map time.
Yeah. And there's really, it's not fenced in per se.
Yeah.
I mean, a runner like BK
Yes.
could probably get anywhere within minutes.
I would think so. So I wonder what we're going to get back on that app. Was he smart enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was telling you about that in that paperwork that they released. There was like a section there where they said that that the state has found no evidence that there is a connection between BK and these kids. So that would kind of lead me to believe that they don't have like all of his electronics, his phone, computer, all that stuff came up.
Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah. But again, we know how shady the defense can be on any of these cases. I mean, a good example is Alex Murdaugh's lawyers.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what they were able to throw out there.
But
Just throw it out there.
I think there was something going on in the Murdaugh case that I watched a video. You know that guy that I was like always like hyping up? He's on the calendar. I posted a video about him the other day, but he was talking about how the investigator for the state, I can't remember his name, but he told one of the other investigators when they found the phone, he took a picture of it and then he told her to put it in airplane mode, which in airplane mode, it still records your GPS, but it deletes the very last one on the list.
Right.
So then they took that phone from where they found Maggie's phone. They took it from where they found it and traveled with it on. So it started picking up other GPS data and deleting.
So with that said, does that mean then with Bryan Kohberger, even though his phone had been put into airplane mode?
No, he turned his phone off completely.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You see, what still bothers me about this case is they're saying, okay, there's no DNA from Kohberger anywhere. Okay, let's just go with that. Then where is the DNA from the actual suspect? They can't tell us that anybody was there. They're saying that there's no DNA except the sheath. And to me, that's an important piece, especially being where it was found.
Absolutely. What it is, yes. But if that's all they have, and it's on the button. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know. It's but, like we were saying, what if he totally stripped off his clothes?
You could have done that.
Yeah, put it into a duffel bag and
Mhm,
hoofed her, just
mhm.
hoofed her because not oh my goodness. Bethany is saying she's seen a naked guy go out the bottom doors. So, if that's the case, that would make me understand why maybe he did not leave other DNA. He
Mhm.
could have sneezed on that sheath to get that DNA on there. We don't know.
He could have touched it at a bar, like, admiring it, like,
Yes.
it means nothing
Yeah.
without more to it, like, it really means
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and they say, okay, there's no footprints. And like we were talking earlier,
right.
how does that happen? There's no footprints. If there's not his footprints there, is there from somebody
Somebody,
else? They're not,
Ethan,
right?
Xana's, like,
Right?
there was
They're
obviously
saying
a
that it was a
struggle by a
bloodbath in
specific.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, 4 people. That guy was, like, he was
Yes.
swimming in it for I'm
And
sorry, like,
and
that
if he stripped
cruise ship.
down,
Yeah, he
he
should have
could
been
have
covered.
yeah. Yeah, that would explain a lot of different scenarios if he actually did that. It would be a smart move, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. I really have not heard of a case where that has happened before, where the
Yeah.
guy has stripped down
Yeah,
after doing something like this, but
that's
um
dandy. Me and Frankie were actually, like, discussing that earlier, like, putting on even, like, the coverings
mhm.
for the shoes, because
Yes.
the one shoe print that they talk about in the probable cause, they don't talk
Mhm.
about it like it was, like, a bloody shoe print. They just say, like,
No.
"Oh, it was, like, a latent footprint that was there, we took it." That could be
And
anybody's.
it
That's
could
hilarious.
because it was not found the first day. It was found the second search. Like it was so if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, it was on the second time around. You're not wrong. They came back around, found it on the second time. And I mean, this, like, here is just money for, like, defense. They're just, like, throwing wrenches.
oh, that is the thing.
Take that.
They're really
Take that.
trying to get him off, in my opinion, on a technicality.
And I mean, as I know it's terrible, right? But, like, dude, that's their job. I mean, and I
Mhm.
applaud them
Mhm.
for knowing their job and doing it well if that's the case. But
Yeah, I
wow.
agree with you. Blifton says coulda had his car seat covered in a sheet of plastic when he got
Yeah,
in, took all of his clothes off in the car, wrapped up the
yeah,
plastic in a ball, and then discarded it.
yep.
Absolutely, and
And
let's
that's
just say that hypothetically that what he did was strip down and left his car at that parking lot.
Yeah, and that's kind
And
of what
then
we were throwing around earlier about this botanical garden place was it's so close
mhm,
where the house is. He has wooded area to run through.
lots of cover.
And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. No one is the wiser. He could
Yeah,
have stashed extra clothing in here somewhere,
absolutely.
anywhere, really, anywhere.
He had
And
20 minutes, like, there's 20 minutes not accounted for.
but
I'm not
this would
hearing
be
anybody talk
ideal.
about that.
This would be ideal for me, like, this area right
Oh,
here, because you would come up, you stash, like, a duffel bag there
yeah,
with extra clothing,
yeah,
you're all in blackout clothing, we know that from
mhm,
Not Bethany, Dylan's description of what the guy was
mhm,
wearing, he was all blacked out, right?
yeah,
So, he takes off all that clothes, puts it in that duffel bag, takes the clean clothes out, washes himself off on the pond, fucking puts some heavy stuff in that bag and just fucking chucks it in there. See you
yeah,
later, and then just takes
yeah,
off. He's a
yeah.
runner, like, he could get
Oh, that
anywhere.
he could, and there is so much cover. He might have to bolt across and there's even a way actually that he wouldn't have to bolt across any
Yeah.
kind of main streets if he goes up
Mhm.
and then back down, there's nothing to I don't know how they would find him. Unless there's not going to be deer cameras in a botanical gardens.
Yeah. There's a golf course sitting right next to it. It's just, this is ideal. All this right here is ideal for someone at 4 o'clock in the morning that's trying to get away with murder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now the defense has brought in that I don't even know the fellow's name yet. I'm just hearing about this DNA, not DNA. Yeah, DNA expert that's supposedly coming in for the defense, and they're saying that he's got great credentials, like very, very, very highly qualified to be working for defense or the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he studied this for a long time. He really did. How many times do they think he went by that house? 12?
Yeah.
Allegedly, like
Allegedly,
anything.
yeah. Because he
Yeah,
can make up an excuse saying that he wasn't really at that house unless his Wi-Fi is, like, his phone's logged into their Wi-Fi somehow. Like, it just catches it.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the unprotected ones that they just
Yeah.
are unsecured.
I don't know. There's just so many places to park and hide and, slither through around here. Like, I just.
And if he is this smart fellow that he thinks he is, would he really pull up in front of the house? Like,
Right.
that has
thing. Yeah, that's what's
it
like.
has stuck out in my head for a long time. You go through all of this and you park in front of the house.
Because one of the things that they were saying was that all those times that his phone pinged there, he was like doing recon, right? Well,
Yeah,
part of recon is checking for cameras.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You didn't know there was a camera there? Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And the safest place is that back door. That back door or would you go through those sliding doors to get out?
I
That
mean, that
house.
I would, because that's the clearance. That's where you have
That it is.
that's where you have the most coverage, is right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Dandy. So, yeah, it would make sense. But between Bethany and Dylan, they're contradicting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what is going on here? Which supposed witness do you believe? The one that kept, like, closing her door and having mini naps, and then
I
the
definitely
grand
don't believe her. Sorry,
I
Dylan.
know.
I'm sorry, girl, but I definitely don't believe you.
It's tricky. It's tricky. It's
She's a little untrustworthy.
if information that's coming out about her is accurate, she'd be one of the more shadier ones, yeah.
It's a little untrustworthy. I mean, and I say that only from what I know. Like, I'm not
Just
putting
what has been
anything.
out.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not putting anything else into it. Just from what I know from the probable cause, like, she is
Mhm.
not the
Mhm.
person that I want to ask questions to. I mean, I want to, but
Well, they have to explain that 8-hour gap to me then. Someone's got to explain that 8-hour
and
gap.
if they put her up on that stand, oh my
Mhm.
God, that girl will crumble.
Yeah, I think so. I hope.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, was one of these, oh my goodness. It is just, there's so much doubt out there right now. You've got Dylan saying one thing, you got Bethany saying another. Last night, they were saying, oh, the cops harassed that house. They were constantly going there to bother them about noise. Well, yeah.
Well, when
I
you're
mean,
rowdy as shit, yeah.
that's what happens.
That's
And
what
I mean, so yeah, now it's out there that some people are saying that they were being picked on. Well, I don't see that myself. I thought they were treated very kindly, but they were lied to. I
they
seen
were. It
Beth.
could have gone a lot worse for them.
I
For
seen
real. It
Bethany
could have.
open the door and go, "Oh yeah, I don't know," and close the door on the cops and say, "I don't know who lives here." Bethany just turned around. Another time, Dylan is walking by saying, um, "It's just sketchy. It's just sketchy AF." You know, uh, it- these victims, would they have been this sketchy if it had have been them? I don't think so.
Mm,
We have too much
what do you
missing
mean by
time.
that? Like, do you think that they were somewhat privileged or something? Like, because they're an off-campus.
Mhm.
I'm actually really surprised, and I know why the cops didn't like really give them a hard time. It's just because they didn't want to do the paperwork.
Well, and they live in a college town. That one guy said
Yeah.
he's been what,
Uh,
30 some years working in a college town. He knows which houses
but I mean,
are.
they cited those 3 kids that night
Mhm.
on the band field. They cited those kids. Why were they any different from this huge house party that you're having? There's obviously minors walking around.
Well, maybe because it was open liquor in a public place.
Hmm.
These kids are in a house. Yeah.
Yeah, they were always overly nice, Clifton. They were,
Yeah. Yeah.
weirdly enough.
Yeah. Well, and you've also got they're dealing with girls versus boys. I
You
don't
know
know
what?
if that'd make a
I know.
difference. It
And I
shouldn't,
know, like, I'm
but
probably pulling at strings here, but, like, I'm just gonna throw something out there that I found really strange.
mhm.
Was one of those body cam videos was during the day where they were talking to Kaylee in the backyard, and that one guy came out, the guy with,
Yep.
like, he had a zip tie on his wrist.
Yeah. Some kind
And I
of
just thought that was,
drinking
like,
game, they're
really
saying.
weird because I was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" Like, he was almost, like, encroaching, like, hovering, that
Well,
kind of
he
but
was also one of the young guys that went to the door the first time and said, "Oh,
yeah,
we don't know who lives here." That's the same
exactly.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
and you watch where they're supposedly talking to, well, they're talking to Maddie on the phone, and she's saying she's at the corner cafe or the corner, sorry, um, bar and grill, is that what it's called? The corner? Well, if you look up in her bedroom, because they're on that side of there's kids up there looking through her bedroom window, and it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
Great question. All I know from that is as far as him returning back to the residence, I think that is on, cell
Mhm.
phone data.
I think so
It's
too.
not
I think
video. Well, not that they mentioned. They might, I don't know, but they didn't mention it in the
I'd like to
horrible
know,
thing.
what is Bryan Kohberger's alibi?
That's a good
I'd
question.
really like to know. What is his alibi? Why
Probably like
should we believe
most,
him?
I was at home by myself. No, you weren't because the cell phone data, like, we know that he wasn't.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, 921, it just says that he utilized cellular resources in
Yeah.
that area, but he's not on video that
So
I know of.
it is after driving by there that he makes that long drive, is it not?
Oh,
The
like,
after
after
the 9
this
a
9 AM thing, the prior day? I mean,
yeah.
the previous like, the next day,
Isn't that one where we were trying to figure out
where
a
he
while
went
back?
so
Yeah.
he went back home after that, like, after that 921, he went back home,
Mhm.
and then he drove
Yes.
all the way over here
Yes.
to the border of Washington, Idaho.
Exactly.
He's got a
Exactly.
couple of pings here.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was he doing out there?
Who the hell knows?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many different places to look for what may have been on him after these attacks. There are so many places he could
I
have
mean,
dumped
look at
things.
this. Look at where they catch him on video and where his phone pings, right? Look,
Mhm.
he's right by the freaking river.
He sure is, and look at the size of that river.
What was he doing over here? Why would he even
Yeah. I have not heard anything as to why he was in that area. Like, I've heard nothing as to why he would have been
Yeah.
there.
And then the probable cause says that he left here, turned his
Mhm.
phone off,
Mhm.
and then ended up
Like,
the
way the hell
probable
on the other
cause
side.
the probable cause is Johnson, Idaho.
Yeah.
But there is a Johnson, Washington right here.
Would the probable cause be wrong, do you think?
It
As
could have been a
far as
typo. I
state?
don't know. I figured they would have fixed it by now, like how many
Yeah.
times people looked at
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
I
But
wonder
if
if they
you
searched
did
these areas,
yeah,
like,
if
as
you
far
did go to
as
Johnson, Washington, this
Mhm.
would make sense because if he really did go there at 9 o'clock in the morning, it
Mhm.
was probably because he hadn't heard any news
Mhm.
about, like nothing was popping off. He didn't hear any news about these kids. So
Yeah.
he went back home and then he took a long drive. But it would make sense if he came back to Johnson, Idaho, and then waited around until the news kind of came around and then went and checked it out?
Yeah. 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 So many questions, like,
Yeah.
why would he have made that trip? What
Other than to get rid of evidence, I have no idea.
Yeah, because we have not heard of any other long jaunts that this guy has gone
Yeah.
on. He's supposedly so busy with his work that, he had no life,
Mhm.
And yeah, exactly. Criminals often go back to the scene. Good to see you, James.
That is a great question because he did have that running app that they subpoenaed. I can't remember what it was called. Um, I wonder what like routes that thing tracked too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he could say that his phone pinged in that area because he liked running that area.
I hope that so that app that they were looking for, I don't know, was that on a watch or something?
It was on his phone, I
It
think.
was on his phone.
And if he had a watch, I mean, he could connect it so it would be together.
Yeah, and I agree, Charla, like, I wonder if the defense will say he frequent trails often.
Mhm.
There are so many things, like, we were talking about earlier, why would a smart guy supposedly go through all of this stuff and then pull up in front of the house to do these kind of crimes?
Yeah.
There's just
Hey, here I am doing 3-point turns like he's Austin Powers, like,
Yeah,
on that street.
right? Walks out nice and calmly, leaves the house calmly, but then gets into his car and acts like a drunken Mario Andretti.
And there was an Uber driver there. Or not an Uber driver, who was it?
Oh,
U
the DoorDash?
DoorDash, right around the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, yeah, and exactly dandy.
Hmm.
Has to be within a certain range of Wi-Fi. His phone attempted 12 times to connect that we know of so
Did
far.
it though?
Yes.
Did it actually try to connect to their Wi-Fi? Because I know
Oh,
that they caught him from pings there, like his phone was pinging there.
yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. I'd like to know what this app was on, and I don't know. I don't think I've seen a picture of him to see what kind of watch. I don't know if he was a techie. I you know?
Right. Go looks like
Yeah.
he's dead in the eyes. I don't know. It's
Oh,
weird.
he's so dead. Yeah.
He's not guilty of this. He's guilty of something. I know it.
Oh my goodness.
I know
And,
it.
this is the thing. Like, we're not getting any other suspects. We're not getting any other footprints. We're not getting any other vehicles. We're not getting any other anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about, well, there was no DNA in anything. Well, this is a guy that has going for his doctorate in criminal psychology. This is a guy that he's got a pretty good clue as to what to look for and what not to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how many times this guy has bleached his vehicle, his home? It's unreal. He had the opportunity before he was arrested to do anything he may have needed to do. I'm almost 100% certain that was said when stuff started to come out. And that's the thing. Like, there has been so many different things said and some things proven that were happening 6 months ago, that honestly, there has been so much going on in the interim that I kind of forget some of the stuff that happened at the very beginning. A person has to refresh.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you taking us, MEKCI?
Oh, no, nothing. I was just like looking around, being curious. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We're back to
Seeing what's out there,
yeah, that botanical gardens is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. There's even a couple of parks back here in this neighborhood, like this one right here, Anderson Park.
Yeah. I'm still hoping for a bloody footprint. Me too, James. I just cannot figure out how all of this stuff happened. They tell us how gory this scene was, and they're telling us that there was not one single footprint in there except for the one by Dylan's door, which is not his foot size. Something going on. There you go, guys. Let me know when that is all done. Ooh, MEKCI. Oh, this is it. Dandy. How many terabytes of info? The state probably has 25 paralegals going through it all. Oh, I think MEKCI's going to pop back in. We lost MEKCI. MEKCI.
Hello?
There you are. Hello.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it just went all staticky and not sure. That's what it was. Chinese spy balloon going over your house.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yes. That
Thank you.
again. It's happening again.
I'm okay with that. Is it really?
No. No, not seriously.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I just muted just to make sure.
So let's talk about Bryan's house, in his parents' house, actually. What would make a sister go through her brother's vehicle just because he was in that same area and may have a similar
Prior
vehicle
experience.
prior to an arrest, prior to
Prior experience.
anything? Yeah, prior experience.
I really think, I mean, if we were
Dandy. That's for you, MEKCI.
if we were looking, how before we used to like, well, where's the escalation? Like, where's his
Yeah.
prior history? Like, people don't just wake
Yes.
up one day and go do this kind of stuff.
James. Yeah.
If we were
That's
to look
it.
at that, I would suspect that he started being a peeping Tom with his sisters.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, good call. Good call, because there is an absolute correlation between peeping toms and violent offenders when it comes to SA and what have you.
Mhm.
Unreal. Unreal.
I mean, that's like it's just in my opinion, just a theory, just throwing it out there. I'm not a professional, don't quote me. But I just think that that would be something that's
Absolutely.
why she had that inclination of like, "Oh, wait,
Yeah.
like, this sounds really familiar." Like,
And, most people really try to avoid looking that family direction. And yet, somehow, she was still really, really curious as to
mhm,
whether or not. Can you imagine how many times he has bleached and cleaned his stuff? When they finally grabbed him, he was in his parents' kitchen with latex gloves on, separating garbage, a totally normal thing to do at 1 or 2 in the morning. Why? And then dumping this garbage in neighbors' garbage bins. Ah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
I
They're
just
now saying that he's like, Kenneth Bianchi. They're saying that his behavior is a lot like his. I don't think so, myself. Are you he was one of the, oh my goodness. Do you know Mr. MEKCI?
uh, he's busy right now listening to
Okay, I thought
shows.
I heard something.
Yeah, he's
Um,
doing it. So shit.
oh, okay, Hillside Stranglers. There was him and his, cousin,
Mhm. From
and they're
California,
saying
right?
yep, yep,
Yeah.
exactly, and he was caught in Seattle after he unalived somebody else there. Well, my homeowner's insurance cover that.
I mean, there's something about this dude, like, what was said about when they searched his apartment, he had no furniture.
No, no, he didn't, it was
And
very scant, not even a,
and
shower curtain.
when they yeah, and when they went
Mhm,
and looked at I think he had, like, a storage unit or something, right? Or s and there
mhm.
was, like, nothing in there either. It was so I
Dust
have a
bunnies.
couple yeah, I have a couple questions. Is that did he get rid of all that stuff because he knew that they'd have something that could implicate him?
I don't
Or
know.
or he seems to be kind of like an antisocial guy that tries to date, but if you have no furniture in your house, you're never gonna get a woman.
A couch is handy for date
You know
night,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Little bit of TV is always good. Not pizza and an F.
you know what I mean? Like, that's just kinda weird. So it's either because we do know that he was trying to date, he was, like, on Tinder and, like,
Yeah,
whatnot. Like, how do you expect to date and have a relationship and have these things if you don't even, like, have a furnished home? And I
yeah,
know those
yeah.
things shouldn't matter, but let's be honest, they matter.
At his age, it's gonna
Yeah.
matter. At his age, it's going to matter, you know? And I don't know. When
So,
did
it just
did
kind of
he
makes me
ever
think
have furniture, or did he get rid of some?
right, or did he get rid of it, or was he never really trying to date, and this was more like him just, like,
A crash pad?
testing his 'cause, I mean, I could see that. If you plan on being, like, a Cheerio killer, right? Like,
Mhm,
you'd
mhm.
probably be you'd probably want a pretty vacant pad, right?
Yeah,
You know, like, the
yeah.
less that you have to ruin, the better, I guess.
Yeah, the less things for things to get into and stuck
Yeah.
in, and so, and we were also talking about this. We don't even know when he got there. W There is nothing
Oh,
telling us
other
whe
than his first pullover, which
mm,
we know was August 21st. Um,
and yet they're going back on all of his social medias back to June.
yeah. I do wonder when he got into Washington. That's never been clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Me
assuming it's
too.
around the same time he got his own freaking cell phone plan, which was, like, early July?
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
your own cell phone plan, you move away. That's the way it works. That's how it worked for me. You know, you're just like, "I don't need you anymore, mom and dad. 30 years
Yeah.
old, I can fend for myself." Um,
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you get your own cell phone
No
plan, you
furniture
meet
screams
people.
disassociation from reality. Yeah.
Yes, see, there's gotta be something weird about that, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
something in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually have a problem with getting too much, not enough. Will the trial be delayed due to DP announcement or not necessarily?
Oh, that's a
I
good
don't think so because both, well, his lawyers are already DP qualified.
Yep,
So I,
that's why they hired them. That's why they got
yeah.
appointed, for that one reason right there.
But with that said, I expect delays anyways.
Mhm.
You know, I expect there to be delays. Unless it comes out that he makes some kind of plea. We really have no idea what they have. The defense can yell out 1,000 times they have nothing. Well, that's what a defense does. They always say, "There's nothing. My client is innocent." That is what they have to do. That's their job. So, with everything that they have and what's come back, nobody knows what they have.
Yeah.
You know, none of us. How could we? We don't know the results of all of those search warrants, and there were many.
No. To be a fly in the wall at that courtroom.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is sounding like there will be for the next few court appearances. It sounds like there will be cameras in the courthouse. They haven't said whether or not they're going to be like one stationary, like they did with what was that last case we watched? Letitia Stoke. They might do something like that where there's the one camera everybody gets, and that's it. That's your feed. And I'm hoping they'll do the same when the actual trial starts. As far as other cameras being in there, I don't know if it's necessary. It's nice to get different angles and what have you, but really what
Yeah,
we want to know is what they're saying.
just if they even do, like, one of those webinar
Yeah,
type things would be
the
nice.
WebEx.
Yeah.
Yeah, WebEx. And those seem good, you know? Like I have a fight between in my own self what we need to know and what we don't need to really know.
Yeah. I'm down to
Yeah.
keep secrets if it's gonna, help the case and the jury and all of that because it is a small state, so
Mhm.
there's no way no one in this state has heard about this. So, the less they know, probably the better. And I
Yeah.
want a fair trial, like, I just want justice for
Oh,
whoever
Shauna.
did it, you know? If he did it, then let's get him. If he didn't,
Maybe
then
he used the shower curtain in his car.
that's possible.
Yeah, that's a great thought. I didn't have it. Like, I hadn't thought of that.
Very possible.
Very possible. What guy doesn't have a shower? He doesn't look like the bathing bubble bath type, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he is the bubble bath kind.
Maybe. Maybe.
But
That's even weirder. That's even
there is, yeah, like never-ending questions.
I just like
Prosecutors,
you saying babe like bubble bath guy reminded me of like the serial killer in Dexter. He would like put the woman in the bath with him and like um slice their inner thigh artery.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm glad Dexter
Yeah.
got his ass.
I liked that show.
It's a show, guys. Sorry, it's not real life.
So this here I just brought up is the paperwork that came out today. So this comes from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. William W. Thompson Jr. is the prosecuting attorney. So this is the state of Idaho versus Bryan Christopher Kohberger, noticed pursuant to Idaho code, and then it gives the code that is applicable for the DP. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and hereby gives notice to the court, the defendant and his counsel, pursuant to Idaho Code that as of this point in time and based on the information known to the state to date, the following statutory aggravated circumstances pursuant to Idaho Code appear to exist in this case as to crimes of unaliving in the first degree as charged in counts 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the indictment herein. Idaho Code at the time of the unaliving was committed, the defendant was also committed another unaliving, or Idaho Code, the murder, beep, as especially heinous, atrocious, and cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity and or by the unaliving or circumstances surrounding its commission, the defendant exhibited utter disregard for human life, and the unaliving was committed in the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate arson, R-word, robbery, burglary, kidnapping, or mayhem, and the defendant unalived, intended to unalive, or acted with reckless indifference to human life, and or the defendant by his conduct was such whether such conduct was before, during, or after the commission of the unaliving at hand, has exhibited a propensity to commit unalivings, which will probably constitute a continuing threat to society. Yeah.
We'll never do it again, I promise.
Yeah, my bad. The state gives this notice based on the fact that has not identified or been provided with any mitigating circumstances sufficient to prohibit the triers of fact from considering all penalties authorized by the Idaho legislature, including the possibility of a capital sentence. Consequently, considering all evidence currently known to the state has compiled to file this notice of intent to seek that DP. The state will continue to review additional information as it is received and reserves its statutory right to amend or withdraw this notice with today's date on it and the prosecuting attorney and his signature.
Here's the thing. If you're going to put out a declaration like this saying that you're seeking the death penalty, can we please see your evidence?
Yeah.
I'd kind of just a couple of the things that you have, just a few. I don't need all of it. Just
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
really serious penalty, as it should be, right? But doesn't evidence usually come before you say that you're going to do the death penalty?
Well, but they think they know all of their evidence. Yeah. I think it sounds fair to me too. Now,
for what he's accused of. Yeah, absolutely. It's fair.
yeah. So if he is found guilty, then that's one of the options that jury gets is the DP. Yeah. They should release it all to us for real. Yeah, but then
form would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't it just seems like, man, if we're really gonna throw the death penalty out there for this guy, I'd really would like to know what it is that but they really have.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll know by the time he gets convicted what they have, and
Yeah.
then they've got that to look at. So this is from ABC News, and they're saying that the prosecutors will seek the DP against Kohberger, the suspect in the U of I unalivings. The filing said the state gives us notice based on the fact. Okay, we've just read all that. So we know that what he's accused of in the House of Horrors. After a 6-week search for suspect, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th. He was a PhD student at nearby Washington State University at the time of the deaths. K-League on Cavs family released a statement Monday evening saying they were grateful prosecutors pursued the DP. There's no one more deserving than the defendant in this case. We continue to pray for all the victims' families and appreciate all of the support we have received, the family said in a statement. And as we know, we watched him stand silent at his arraignment last month. And by not responding, the judge entered the not guilty plea on his behalf. Now, I think in previous lives or videos, we've discussed this and what the advantage could be to Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, it's because it has to do with the grand jury. I guess there's like an old law that says that if there is a grand jury and you stand silent, then you get to see what they presented.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well, a person knew that it was going to have to be some kind of benefit for him or it wouldn't be done.
Yeah, so I think
it's a
what the
showdown.
grand jury had to go forth, what the evidence was shown to the grand jury. I think that's what the benefit is. You get to see it.
Okay. I'm just making sure there's looks like a lot of this is stuff we've looked at, even some of it today. The authorities linked Kohberger to the crime scene through cell phone signals, security camera video, a witness, and a tan leather knife sheath, according to the probable cause affidavit filed in January. And we've gone through that. We've got quite a list or a lots of videos on this tragedy. In June 16th filing, prosecutors said investigators also used generic genealogy, a technique that combines shoe leather genealogical research with DNA analysis. After biological material found on a knife sheath at the scene failed to turn up a match in an FBI database. The tool was used to develop a family tree of hundreds of relatives to eventually identify Kohberger as a suspect, according to the filing. Kohberger's lawyer described the technique as a bizarrely complex DNA tree experiment. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No connection whatsoever.
I mean,
Yes.
those family trees, and this is honest, at the beginning, you're really going off of what you've been told. So like if you're like, oh, I know for sure that I like this person's relative,
well,
then they could track you down that way. They could say, oh, well, let's just say if they did have like a family tree, it did lead them to Bryan Kohberger's dad, right? They were like, oh, it's got to be someone in this house, right?
Well, if they're looking at him, they're going to go after either his DNA or one of the parents.
Yeah, but I mean,
right?
who's to say that his dad is actually his dad? They just like if they really did use like that's the thing about genealogy. If they use genealogy to take whatever sample it was that they found on that knife sheath, and then they ran it through a DNA genealogy place. You're relying on these people that have sent in their DNA to them to build this family tree. So yeah, you might come and you land on this household where you're like, well, this is where it would make sense. It has to be a son of so-and-so. But what if Bryan Kohberger isn't actually the child to his father?
Well, he is now, though. We know that.
Do we?
We know that. Well,
I mean, I assume
that
that they
match was like a
because it's a warrant.
quadrillion billion. Like, there didn't leave much doubt that that was Brian's DNA on there. Now, when
Well,
it
no,
comes
it
to,
just
like,
means that
family trees.
the DNA on the sheath
Mhm.
was a quadrillion match to this
Brian.
male sample that they took from the trash
Yeah.
from his home.
But now that they've actually taken a buccal swab from.
Did they though? Like, that's
Yeah,
my
they
question,
did.
like, I really do have that question. I figured they would
Yeah,
have
it
because they would
just
have had,
came
like,
out.
okay, cool. So it is
Yeah, it
fine.
came out
That's him,
within, like, maybe
100%.
the last week, yeah, and that's where they got that number from, was that, buccal swab, because they weren't finding him on CODIS anywhere. So they did that, genealogy, and then they did the family tree, and the family trees, just because I've worked on them so much, um, there's a lot of backup to your
Right.
information, like, there's a
Well,
lot
yeah.
of
And
paperwork.
what they ran on these guys, on these male samples, was the Y chromosome. It was the YSTR test, which
Okay,
doesn't necessarily run your profile. It runs your Y chromosome, which
okay.
traces your male lineage. So it could really be any male. But like I would suspect that as soon as Bryan Kohberger got arrested, they would have put out a warrant or a subpoena to get his DNA specifically.
That's that's my understanding of what happened.
And if you're saying that they got that back and
Mhm.
it's a match for him, is it a match for him on the YSTR or is it a match for him on a DNA, like complete DNA profile?
I do believe it's from the buccal swab, is my
Mm,
understanding, that they got that confirmation from taking a swab from his mouth.
interesting.
Yeah, and this just came out, like, the last week or so. Let me see if I can find anything
Huh. I'm
on that.
all into DNA.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Love it. I don't love it. It's just a
Okay,
job.
let's hear. Mhm.
I don't know,
Okay.
Charla, about your question because I know they pulled Walmart, they pulled Amazon. Do they have confirmation of where he bought that K-bar knife was bought? Franky?
Mm. I don't know, I'm the same. I'm not sure if they have actually if it has come out from law enforcement. I
Well, the thing
don't
is,
know.
I mean, if they haven't found the knife, he could have bought a knife, and that knife is
Mhm.
similar to thousands of other knives. So if they don't actually have the knife, it's kind of ugh. All they have him is for, like, buying a knife that's similar to the murder weapon at that point.
I'm still looking for this. Mm. I'll have to take some time and look for that because it's with
Mhm.
this just coming out, there's like a bunch of different articles to.
Well, yeah, because if you put in, like, the keywords Bryan Kohberger DNA, you'll probably
Yeah,
come
the
up with, like, hundreds
exactly.
of things.
Exactly. I wonder if DNA confirmation? See what I can find. A cheek swab taken from Bryan Kohberger is a statistical match to DNA evidence found at the Moscow, Idaho crime scene where 4 University of Idaho students were unalive last year. And that's from ABC News. So it was a cheek swab.
Okay, read that again to me one more time. I'm sorry, I was distracting. I was distracted, not distracting.
You're distracting. Let's see here. Okay. A cheek swab taken from Bryan Kohberger is a statistical match to DNA evidence found at the Moscow, Idaho crime scene where 4 University of Idaho students were unalive late last year. Investigators found a K-bar knife sheath on the bed with the bodies of Mogan and Gon calves. The sheath was face down, partially under Mogan's body and the comforter on the bed, according to court documents. DNA evidence was found on the K-bar knife sheath that came from a single source that was male. After assuming the investigation from Idaho State Police, the FBI submitted the possible suspect DNA to publicly available genetic genealogy services to determine potential relatives of the suspect. The FBI then used common genealogical techniques to develop a family tree that led to Kohberger. The DNA was 5.37 octillion times more likely to be Kohberger's than a random person from the general population. No. So yeah, it's a pretty good match. Oh, that's a good question. Jasmine. Yeah, that's a good question. I sure hope so. I mean, so it does sound like it was coming from law enforcement, Charla. It does look like that's where the media was getting everything.
Can you send me the link to this article? I'm sorry. Yeah. I was distracted again. I had one of my pool buddies call me and
I put it in Discord for you.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, you betcha. And I think I've still got it at MEKCI. Yeah. So law enforcement previously had said they obtained DNA from the knife sheath that matched it to DNA from Kohberger's father found in the trash outside the family home. Now, the new documents show a match directly from the cheek swab taken from Kohberger.
To the sheath.
Great, awesome.
Yes.
All right, sounds good then.
Yes. Right. Get down.
Okay, all right.
Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania, Pocono Mountains, on December 30th. Kohberger, who was arrested on 4 counts of first degree and burglary, has been extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho. And yeah, not guilty. I don't know what it is about these guys not being able to be accountable.
But to who? I just read that same paragraph. It says law enforcement previously said they had obtained DNA from the knife sheath and matched it to DNA.
Getting an echo, friend.
Oh my bad.
Okay, hold on here.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
An echo? Okay.
Oh, I can still hear. What am I listening to? Oh, it's mine. They were getting ready to yell. Nancy Grace was gonna yell at us. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Charla. Great to have you.
Oh, is she leaving?
I don't know. I was just seeing everybody saying, great to meet you. And I was like, yes, great to meet you.
She said she was leaving.
Visit again.
So I'm sure you're right, but like the way this reads, law enforcement previously said they had obtained DNA from the knife sheath and had matched it to DNA from Kohberger's father, found in the trash outside the family home. Now, the new documents show a match directly from a cheek swab taken from Kohberger. To what? To his dad? To the sheath? Is this like on a document somewhere that they released? Like one of the court documents?
Well,
You know I'm skeptical. Like I'm very
yeah. Do you want me to look for something else?
no, of course not. You don't go. No, don't do that.
Shouldn't it? It might be on some of these new documents too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go look at and see.
Yeah. I haven't looked at some of the smaller ones. I've been going through like the motion, the protective order, and I've been going through some of the larger files. But yeah, I've got to take some time and go through. There's just been a lot dumped lately, and we're still waiting for them to do the same for
Richard Allen.
Yeah, we're waiting on his stuff too.
I wonder if his have been delayed because of this recent. He's confessed. Bullshit.
Oh, that's you. Good stuff. Yeah. But this came out, I think, after. Motion to file defense.
Motion to temporary seal.
Oh, I'd appreciate that, Shauna. Thank you so much.
Private person is right to impartial jurisdiction, constitution, unwanted invasion of personal privacy. You're under arrest, bro. Like, come the fuck on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, but like, you're violating my privacy. If you're under arrest, sorry, not sorry. That's what happens.
There's lots of goodies on the Discord site. Did you find it, or would you like me to find it?
I'm going through all the recent ones. They've like dumped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 documents on Friday.
There was a lot, yeah.
One today.
Yeah.
And that's the one for the death penalty, I'm assuming. I'm trying to find the one that, would talk about.
There we go. That is the Discord link there. Thank you, Shauna. I misread that, but I clicked in. CTFO Blifton. I love it.
So look at this document. This is the one that Andrea Burkhart. Oh, you're looking at it. That's me. That's me, guys. Andrea Burkhart was looking at earlier.
You're very welcome, Charla.
She brought up the very last sentence in this. Interesting. It says the state has objected to this discovery request. Further, the state has filed a motion for a protective order. Mr. Kohberger incorporates herein his objection to the state's motion for protective order, as well as declarations of counsel for Mr. Kohberger. Bika? Barlow? Is that right?
I don't know.
Bika?
Can you enlarge that a little bit?
I mean, why not?
Thank you. Yay.
You're welcome. This right
Bicka Barlow and Steve Mercer in support of defendant's motion to compel.
I mean, I would have a lot of questions about this. And the reason, and I know I've brought this up before, the reason I have questions about people, police, law enforcement, sending in DNA samples from evidence into a non-accredited lab is how the hell do we know that those samples are actually, like, the testing that you receive back are actually the samples you sent in? Because you're not going to put on the samples you sent in a suspect in Moscow 4. You're not going to do that because you don't want prejudice as well from the people at the laboratory. This, like, I have a lot of questions when it comes to this because they're non-accredited labs. So,
Okay.
a lawyer could really argue, a good defense lawyer could really argue that we have no idea if those samples that they sent in to that lab were actually the ones from the sheath. How did you label them? What did you label them as? Like, there's a lot of questions to this. Where's the chain of custody?
Would they be showing that stuff already?
No, I mean, they should.
Okay.
They should. I mean, that would be something that I would want to release immediately so that we know this isn't just some. That to me would be some sort of evidence you could release. Like, hey, this is where we got it from. This is what we sent in. But how did you label it? What did you label it as? Like, is there prejudice in the
So
lab?
you're saying the prosecution has sent this to an unaccredited
That's
lab?
what they're saying. They're saying that
That makes no sense.
that they sent a DNA sample into a genealogy lab. That's what they said. That's what's coming out right now.
Non-accredited?
It's gonna be non-accredited because they can't be accredited because they have no way of proving that the samples that you're sending in actually come from where you say they come from.
Well, don't they come from the police in their little special bags that say, I mean, I don't know, not a cop or
Sure,
anything along those lines, but don't they
you're
like
sending it
steal
to a
things and
non-accredited lab. It's not like you're sending it to, like, the state lab. You're sending in a sample that you got from a crime scene into a laboratory where all everyday people send their samples into.
how do we know that? Show me that. I mean, you know more about this.
Well,
You
that's
do
what,
like
like, Ancestry.com, 23andMe, like, all these places, like,
I
you
don't think
sending
that's
your
where they
data like
sent
that.
his I don't think that's where they sent his DNA though.
But that's what they're saying, Frankie. I
I
know, like,
think they
they
were
got his
using
stuff
his
tested at a state lab, but they're saying right now that they sent his stuff into, like, a genealogy place. That's what's coming out right now. And they had mentioned it before, like, prior to. I just really didn't believe it.
Shauna. So, could they not, though, have gotten the results from a state lab, but then took that information and got on to one of these?
Yeah, but the question is still proposed. How do we know that there's not prejudice at the lab from how do you label this sample? What are you calling it?
But wouldn't that go for anything anywhere? Wouldn't that same
It
argument go
would,
for
but this
every
is
piece for
exactly
every
this is
case?
exactly why. Yes, and it should. It should. That's why a lot of lawyers, defense lawyers, are bringing this up because they're like, how do we even know that that's actually the sample that you sent in? Like, you're saying that that's the one you sent in. But usually for stuff like this, like, if you really want, you need a chain of custody. So you would require a person to go into a lab where they take a picture of you, they take your swab right
But
there.
that had to have been done. I can't imagine that they don't have a chain of custody.
So, like, these genealogy places like Ancestry, 23andMe, you can buy these home testing kits.
Yes, you can.
And you can say, hey, this sample is coming from me, but you really took a sample from your neighbor. And no one would ever know. And that's why those tests cannot be used for anything.
No, but they can go to like a proper type of lab, get the information, and then go and search the databases off of the information they got.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that.
know?
But
Yeah.
how are you inputting that sample is the question. Like, what are you putting in as?
Like, well, you see, if you're working on, say, ancestry.com, which is the one I work with, let's say my brother went out and got his results and showed me the information. Well, I'd take that information and I'd take that we know has come from like a lab that is accredited, but I'd take that information and then I would take it to my ancestry and I would start inputting the information in there.
And when you inputted it, like input the information in, does it go by markers? Like, do you input alleles into certain markers or do you upload the result?
We don't do anything along those lines. I don't know if you get tested through them because I've never done it. My DNA is mine. But as far as if I was going to do this and take it from my brother, hypothetically, because we're going to have pretty much the same information, I would take that information and I would put it in and I would get my tree started that way. And it's going to give you the names of the fathers, the brothers, the mothers, the grandparents. That's all going to start showing up. And then from there, there is 1,000 different ways to verify that that is the proper person that is being input. There's ways that you paperwork that you've got, wedding certificates, birth certificates, all these different things. And that's what I would go by. But getting the information from an accredited lab would be an awesome start. That would be an awesome start.
But all you would get from an accredited lab is their DNA profile or the information saying that they're related to a specific person.
Right.
That's what you would get from an accredited lab. So that's why I was like, how would you even input that in? Like,
well, I would take it. You don't put in their DNA. You would just put in the parents' names, like the mom's name, the dad's name, because it has shown up, right, on the results from the DNA. You'll get the name of the parents or you get the name of, so you input those and then you start working off of each person and building your tree that way.
Well, the reason I know that sometimes these things are wrong is because we have a lot of people that come to us from Ancestry, 23andMe, Family Tree, who specifically will test to see if they're siblings, half siblings, full siblings. That's their grandchild, whatever the case may be. And although Ancestry will say that they are related, when we actually test them for the relationship, they're not.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Yeah, I don't know how it works. Like I say, as far as I don't give out my DNA, on my my tree, which is, I mean, it's extensive. I've got all the verifications, so I know that. And if I happen to make a mistake, well, there's people they have the same tree as me or similar, and they kind of help you know you're not related to that person. Can you tell me if you've got it? So there's ways to verify, but if it's not accredited, I don't like, as far as getting the DNA done, I don't know that that's the place you want to send it anyways.
Right. And this is what I'm saying as far as like a legal aspect point of view when it comes to like lawyering and like arguments. This would be something that I would argue.
Okay.
Like,
okay. I wonder, so I'd like to know where it was originally tested.
Yeah. Why like, can they just give that info out? That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's
got to be on a document,
put it out.
Yeah.
Let us know how you tracked him down, because that's how eventually they tracked him down, was
right
that way. So
yeah, it was through the DNA.
Let's see it. That's all.
Yeah,
that's not too much. DNA don't lie, right? So let's see it.
Well, and that's the thing. Then they arrested him, did the buccal swab, and it confirmed everything anyways, right?
But did it confirm the match to the DNA that they took from the trash, or did that buccal swab match the sheath? Is my question.
The sheath. It matched the sheath. Like a quadrillion times that big number, that octillion or whatever. That was to the sheath. Bryan Kohberger DNA matches sample from knife sheath near Idaho victim Maddie Mogan, DA says. So let's see here. Maybe I'll grab it. I'm just going to grab this.
So a major breakthrough
Ooh.
for University of Idaho students.
Oh my God. Like I'm scrolling through that one that I opened up. Yeah. And one of these, like this one has me a little bit shook because this is good. This defense, man, they're like covering all bases. They said unexpected results and corrective actions for each laboratory that performed DNA testing in this case. Please provide copies of the laboratory's logs of unexpected results and corrective actions. This is genius. You want to know why this is genius?
Yes.
Because all laboratories, especially when they're accredited, they're required to not only run that test once. The test doesn't get run one time. Okay. It gets ran several times to make sure that they're coming up with the same result every single time. Okay. So that little thing that they're requesting is brilliant. They're like,
right. Oh, they are. They are. Yeah, they are covering they're going to give them a run.
Yeah.
He has got, for somebody who is getting allegedly he's getting really good lawyers considering what he has done, and he's not paying for this himself. You know, he's got, I don't know how he's managed to get this kind of lawyers. I don't think I like it because there's so many other people that are in the same position. Well, no, because I don't see other people getting offered these kind of lawyers for the same type of crimes.
Richard Allen has a very good set of lawyers that were appointed to him.
He does. He's got some pretty good lawyers too. I don't know much about his lawyers, to be honest with you. But yeah, he's got a couple of really good lawyers as well. So here they're saying that that they recovered a sheath from Maddie Mogan. Okay, and this is the protective motion for protection order. I'm going to actually take that again. So let's see. Sheath was face down partially under both Maddie's body and the comforter on the bed. And that's where they located the sheath pursuant to a search warrant. ISP laboratory determined the DNA came from a single source, and that source was male. When law enforcement had single source DNA from the K-bar knife sheath, they conducted what is called a short tandem repeat analysis. I don't understand that. I know you will. DNA analysis involves looking at 20 regions within the human DNA and allows law enforcement to make a direct comparison between two STR DNA profiles. Law enforcement submitted the STR DNA profile obtained from the K-bar knife sheath to the combined Combined DNA Index System, CODIS, the database of STR DNA profiles from convicted offenders, arrestees, and crime scene evidence to identify the source of DNA. No match was found. Unable to find a match using STR DNA analysis, law enforcement decided to use investigative genetic genealogy to find a lead. Genetic genealogy allows individuals to trace their lineage or connect with unknown family members using DNA. Typically involves sending a DNA sample, such as a tube of saliva, to get a genetic genealogy service like Ancestry or 23andMe. The generic genealogy service then creates a single nucleotide polymorphism profile to use for genealogical purposes. An SNP profile is different than an STR DNA profile and is used more often for genealogical purposes.
And that's up in the air. Sorry, I'm so
Yeah.
it's my job. I'm so like super like
Mm-hmm.
just like on the fence about this stuff, but yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and you too. I've only got, as far as this kind of stuff goes, I've only got the paperwork
Mhm.
to go, to basically go off because I'm not qualified in any of these different fields. I'll see here. The Idaho State Police utilized a private laboratory to develop an SNP profile from the DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. The private laboratory started using genetic genealogy to develop family tree, but after law enforcement decided the FBI would take over, the private laboratory ceased its efforts and sent the SNP profile to the FBI. The FBI uploaded the SNP profile to one or more of the more publicly available genetic genealogy services to identify possible family members of the suspect based on shared genetic data. The FBI could then view through genetic genealogy services portal information regarding potential relatives of the suspect who left the DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. Based on information the FBI could see the genetic genealogy service portal, the FBI went to work building family trees of the genetic relatives to the suspect DNA left at the crime scene in an attempt to identify the contributor of the unknown DNA. The FBI built a family tree using the same tools and methods used by members of the public who wished to learn more about their ancestors. For example, the FBI consulted social media, viewed vital records such as birth certificates, death certificates, and viewed other information already contained in the user portal for the genetic genealogy service. This included unverified information submitted by other users of the genetic genealogy
That
service.
right there, unverified information.
The FBI also consulted subscription-based databases available to law enforcement for information on individual people. See what this is. For ease of reference, the motion focuses on FBI IGG efforts. The state is also seeking to protect the partial family tree created by the private lab. It should be protected for the same reasons the FBI's IGG efforts should be protected. The product of genealogy conducted by the FBI was a family tree that contained the name, birth date, and death date, if applicable, of hundreds of relatives, as well as other familial connections between each other and suspect Bryan Kohberger. The FBI sent to local law enforcement a tip to investigate the defendant. The IGG process pointed law enforcement towards defendant, but did not provide law enforcement with substantial evidence of guilt. The FBI did not, for example, conduct a direct comparison between the SNP profile from the K-bar knife sheath and the defendant's SNP profile. That type of direct comparison required more traditional STR DNA analysis, which was conducted by the Idaho State Police, not the FBI. Questions? Any questions?
I have none. I'm following completely.
Not
Totally following.
understanding it?
No, I'm following. Like, I
But
completely understand what they're saying. Yeah.
but okay, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts on it.
Yeah.
They said it right there in that one, and that's exactly what my concern is with this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. They set it up above and a couple paragraphs back where it's unverified information that other
Right.
people sent in.
Yep.
That's right there
Yeah.
is what I'm concerned about.
Okay.
That's the point that I was trying to make, is that you can't prove that they're actually, like, these
The
people are actually.
comparison yeah. The comparison indicated the DNA found on the trash belonged to biological father of the individual who left the DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. Pursuant to a search warrant, law enforcement then collected DNA from the defendant via a buccal swab. A traditional STR DNA comparison was done between the STR profile found on the K-bar knife sheath and the defendant's DNA. The comparison showed a statistical match. Specifically, the SDR profile is at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be seen if defendant is the source than if an unrelated individual randomly selected from the
Meaning
general
he
population.
cannot be excluded as being the donor of that sample because he
What
is.
about the numbers though? Like
That's a
5.37
huge. That's a big number. That's like one. That means unless you have an identical twin,
yeah.
you're it.
Yeah.
You're it.
So but you still have questions on the portal that they used?
Yes, because any
Okay.
defense attorney would have questions about that. Um,
Mhm.
I did figure that they would have taken a DNA sample from him directly and then compared that, but
Yeah.
it's questionable on how they got to him because of the
But
lab.
ultimately they did get to them.
Yes,
Get to
he
him.
did. Like, they got him. They got to him,
Yeah.
but it's questionable on how they got there. And I
Yeah.
mean,
And
this case is one in very many that they're doing very similar like this.
mhm.
So it is very questionable. And this is why, like, defense lawyers are bringing it up, because it's like, we can't verify that you
Yeah.
sent an X sample and that these people that you're comparing with are actually truthful. Like, it's a huge thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. To me, knowing what the end result is, I don't care how they found it.
Yeah.
I mean, as
No,
long as
like,
it was
I mean,
legal. You know,
I mean, the
yeah.
FBI was involved, so, like, you can't really question it.
Yeah, like Dandy says, he's statistically screwed.
Yes, yes. Octillion, are you serious? You know how many zeros that is?
Right?
Like,
It's a
it's for
number
real.
like
Like,
you
unless you have,
yeah.
like, an identical twin or triplet, all of you guys came from the same egg, there's, like, no way. It's
Yeah.
possible. Is it possible? Sure, but
I mean, there's questions, how did that DNA get on to that sheath? But literally,
Mhm.
there is
And
so
it's
little
nowhere
on there.
else. It's nowhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. But, again, that's where I come back to, like, okay, they've got his DNA.
Yeah.
Regardless of how it's
Yeah, how
there.
they got it, they got it. Right?
Yeah, it's there, and it's in a place that nobody I mean, it was underneath a Maddie, allegedly. So, I mean, easy for an attacker to,
A lot
like,
of
not
zeros.
find that sheath,
Mhm.
you know? So, again but what it brings me back to is, with all of this, there is literally nothing pointing to another person. Like, there is no other name floating around there.
Well, they do have other DNA, other unidentified males
Yeah, 2 in the
that are
house, and that
also not in CODIS.
right, but that
And
was
I'm
a
curious.
party house, and
But
it
no, I'm
from this
curious though, like, if
mhm,
they
mhm.
did, if it was a party house, you would think that they would come up with, like, way more DNA samples, right? But
Which also yeah,
they were able to come up with these very specific ones that were good and could be separated, and you could get
load
a
lifting.
complete DNA profile from. They ran up
Yeah.
the CODIS. They weren't on there. Did they make the same effort to put
I
that
bet you.
through the genealogy, family study things too?
Well, it's going to depend where that DNA was.
And
If it's
well, the
on
thing
a
is, like,
dirty
why
old,
wouldn't you release that? Release that.
but I
If
think
you
they
know
have, haven't
that,
they?
like you did the work, you did the legwork, you took the
Yeah.
steps to try to identify it, but you couldn't, release that
Mhm.
shit then.
Mhm. Mhm. The
I know, right? You're like, "Ah."
yeah, it's good because you and I are used to bouncing stuff off of each other like this. So sometimes we can kind of make a little bit of headway
Yeah.
going, okay, well, maybe, yeah. And then there's other times it's like, okay, there's a lot of this is no figuring out.
'Cause
We don't
it's
have
like
enough information.
a standstill because I do have that question. Like if they had all those other, I think they said it was like 3 other male DNA samples or something.
Yeah, one was on that glove that
Why
Chris
don't you
Madonna
release
found
that
outside.
info? Release that info. Release it.
Yeah. And then there's the two, well, I wouldn't go releasing the other 2 people's names if they're
Well,
not
but that's the thing, they
involved.
couldn't find them. You know what I mean? They couldn't find them. They
Yeah.
have no idea who they were. So, like, why not just release info like, "Hey, we have unidentified male 1, unidentified male 2. We did the work. We tried to run them through CODIS. We sent their stuff to genealogy. We couldn't find them,
Yeah.
but we got
But,
a hit on this guy,"
again,
you
it's
know?
gonna depend where they found that DNA.
Yeah.
Like his was found underneath a victim. And if somebody else's was found on a dirty dish in that sink, there's just
What about the doorknobs? Would that make you feel different? Like if the DNA was found on the doorknob,
no, because too
eating
many
into
people
a
come and
room?
go from that house. It would
Exactly.
For me
So,
to have it click in and work for me, it would have to be part of the crime scene
I mean,
itself,
dude,
not
Bryan
in that.
Kohberger,
Mhm,
and I'm not trying to give his defense any ideas, but Bryan
mhm.
Kohberger could literally say that he was at a party, he brought a knife, he gave it to Maddie or whoever,
And then there
and
would be more DNA on there than just his.
well, it's already strange that if people are saying that that's his, it's only on the button. That's already strange to
Not if
begin
he
with.
sneezed on it and was wearing gloves. Like, he could have had that thing so clean and sneezed. It could have been one little tiny drop like
I
that.
just feel like people, and this is me, I'm
Mhm,
not like just putting an example out there.
mhm.
Let's say I left my apartment. I'm like, I'm gonna go kill these people and do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I put some gloves on my way there.
Yeah.
I'm a
Mhm.
girl and I'm gonna touch my face.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
some point, without me knowing, I'm going to touch my face. I'm going to touch something. I'm not going to be driving down the highway masked up. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
This brings attention.
You
So you would
that
think that
this
you would get that on your fingers. Even if you were wearing gloves, on the outside of your gloves, you would get that.
one would think, but nobody's DNA is on these
Right. It
kids
depends
or
how, yes. Isn't
this
that
is the
strange?
yes. That's why this is still why I lean towards him. There's um too many things pointing to him. And I'm not seeing, I mean, you and I, when this first happened, we had some pretty, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everybody was like on our
Mm-hmm.
target list. And literally now, unless they can show me a reason to believe it's not him, this is where I'm at now. You have to prove they're not showing me another suspect. They're
Yeah.
not showing me somebody else's footprints fighting with these
Mm-hmm.
kids. They're not showing
They're not
anybody
showing
else's
any footprints with fighting going
nothing.
on with those kids, man. You would
Exactly.
think that there was some kind of struggle going on with Ethan.
Absolutely. And the
Where's
way they
that at?
described it. Yes. Yes. And again, there's that 8-hour gap. So was this house cleaned before 911 was called?
Oh. Talk
You
about
know what I mean? Like,
conspiracy theories. I'm all for them. Let's do it.
yeah. Yeah. This is the thing, Dandy. You just never know until you know. The possibilities are endless in these times. Everything's a secret. Yeah. Yeah. There's 1,000 rabbit holes in this case, and I'm sure, like, you and I have put snorkels on and gone diving on a, you know,
Down every single
we
one. I consider all
oh,
of it. Like I do. Like the fact that there's people
mhm,
saying that there was kids that knew
mhm.
before the cops even knew
That's
what had
right.
happened there. I do
Yep.
take that into account. Like,
And do you know what? I have not seen any paperwork,
no.
though. Yeah, with anything along those lines. So it's going to be interesting. We don't hear anything from the defense, so we don't know like who they're calling, what they're doing, how they're going to fight this. It's looking to me like they're looking for some kind of technicality. I think that they're finding looking for some little slip up that they can find and start boring a hole in it.
Mm,
Whether it's like you were just saying, the other people's DNA.
yeah, you just have
I
to
mean,
call it enough reasonable doubt. That's all you
yeah.
gotta do.
And then the prosecution has got to put all these little puzzle pieces together that you and I and everybody else here has tried to put together. They've got to put that puzzle together and make a jury believe it is him. And
Mhm.
when I look at this case, I have not seen anything that tells me it's not blah, 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 blah. It's not Bryan Kohberger.
Right.
Everything points to him. There's that other kid you and I were talking about that was shot by, oh my goodness, in that apartment just
He got
after this
swatted.
happened.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got swatted.
Yeah. And
Oh,
he's a name that gets thrown out there.
that's really weird. Bryan Kohberger has like a weird thing somewhere in here that he does. Like I couldn't understand it.
Could he be buying DRUGS somewhere in
Could
there?
possibly. He like somewhere in here he like dipped in and then was caught exiting. And I couldn't figure out how to like label that.
Is
So
that the dead end, MEKCI? No, it's not.
this is where he gets onto East Main Street. That would take him onto
Right.
270 if he wanted to.
Lizzie's being bossy over there. She's got a big bark. No! If he did this, I don't want him being my neighbor on a technicality. Oh my God. Yeah, don't come to Canada.
So like
eh?
right here, like this is what's weird. So you can see my thing, right? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna make it right. Hold on.
So if you join our Discord, there is some really good information on there. MEKCI has done so many detailed maps and calendars
It took
and
time, guys.
oh my word. Yeah. No, and they're awesome. Literally, there is probably it's some of the best information on many of these cases that you've put together and to one area for us. It's
Map. Who
fantastic.
doesn't like a map, you know?
I love them, but I'm not as handy as you are.
So right here at like 5:27 a.m., like on his way back, we would assume, right? On his way back. He was like doing some weird stuff on Nevada. Like he was caught going north on Southeast Nevada.
Yeah, the wrong direction or something, right?
But he would be taking this road if he wanted to go home, which is Northeast Stadium Way. But like at 5:30 in the morning, for whatever reason, he went north on Southeast Nevada Street. And then a few minutes later came back south. It's weird. I don't know what he was doing.
No.
And I don't know where that
No.
guy lived that got swatted, but like I've heard that he lives right in this area. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought
Look that up.
Yeah, didn't he live like very close to Bryan? Like just a few buildings over?
Pullman.
You almost have to go back to the beginning of the case and what we've learned. Yeah, that would be the one.
Kopaka.
And take a look at it and see just get a refresher almost.
Wata Street. Where the fuck is that? Wata Street. No.
No.
Look at that. Look at where that is. That's really where it is.
Yeah.
1000 block of Wata Street.
Yeah. It was like right there, right?
It's fucking right there. What the hell? I mean,
yeah, right there.
It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that one car stop, that his dad brings that up as well. And that's what Bryan's eyes.
Yeah,
right
that's what's weird too.
Yeah.
His dad did bring that up. They had left that morning.
Yeah.
That same day they left, like early in the morning.
Yeah. I think the stop's on there, isn't it? If not, I can get the video.
That's interesting because this is where his car was caught. This is how he came back in, was Johnson Avenue to... That's interesting. Who's to say he didn't like pull in here somewhere and just drop him off and he just like walked over?
Me too, Shauna. Me too. You know, but MEKCI's really good at being like the devil's advocate because she'll look at a different side than it's a nice thing again, like we talk about having the think tank. We've all got kind of different thoughts that will come to us, and it gets me thinking anyways, sometimes in a different area that oh wow, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. Think tanks are awesome.
Well, this is like when it comes to like going to trial, this is where it's important to think like that because this is what like defense and state are doing. You know, they're making a story and defense is just trying to throw reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
That's interesting that it's freaking right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
want to see. Okay.
I don't like that. I don't like that it's right there.
Yeah.
Papa Rogers. Yeah.
Right?
Freaking Rogers.
Let me see here.
I don't know.
No, wrong one.
And this is also around the same area he got pulled over, right? Where that pullover cam footage is from is right around here. Pullman.
Okay, I just want to find one that I won't get. Franky don't like strikes.
I'm not paying for that shit. Who's this?
Oh, I know. It's all about the almighty cookie.
Oh, it's part of the Courtesy of Idaho Statesman. Fantastic.
Have you had luck?
I think I found the video. This is the video.
Okay. Okay.
And
No, not this one. This is the last one where he's kind of testing
Well,
that.
this is the one I wanted to look up to see where it actually,
Oh, okay.
where he was pulled over at.
Okay.
I do, but I don't know where that was.
Wait.
What intersection was this at? That'd be fantastic to know. I'm trying to skim through, but
you know what? That's exactly what I think, Shauna. That's exactly what I think. And I go from one and then back to one of the other girls. I bounce around.
yeah, I can't say for sure that it was Kaylee, because she wasn't really living there.
This is the thing. In my mind, it's at this point, I think he was after Maddie. I'd like to know who, or if he's innocent, why did he have one of the girls and a bunch of pictures on his devices of that same girl? There's one of the girls, he liked every one of their pictures on, what was it, Instagram?
Title issued on the 22nd of December.
Yeah. His lawyer bike. I got it. But yeah, I agree. He has a problem with females and a dominant, pretty female, like his lawyer. Yeah. Do you see some of the looks he shoots that lawyer?
Oh my goodness, they're terrible. Like he
Oh,
goes
yeah,
from,
like
a smile to like an immediate just
flat
stain.
face. Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're not doing yourself any favors, buddy. Like, think back. That was not that long ago, 7 months ago now that picture that you just scrolled by. And I remember seeing that kid, and it was like, look at him.
He looks exactly like, what's his face?
Bundy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him, like, we put, like, side by side by each other, and they were, like, identical.
Oh, yeah, it was freaky. To me, it's those deadpan eyes that you see.
Yeah. There's nothing there. Look.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty Bundy-ish, right?
Look at him.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's funny when he cleaned himself up and puts himself in a suit, not near as scary looking. Like you and I were saying, you could see where it wouldn't be my type, but he's not so ugly that in his 28 years, he couldn't have got a date.
Definitely not my type.
which means it's his personality.
Oh my God.
Right? Like, it means it's got something to do with what he is as a human.
And he's got no furniture, no personality. He
No
literally told
personality.
that girl that she had what? Baby giving hips, baby birthing hips or something? Like that girl that he went on a Tinder date with?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I've read that men favor type of women that their mother resembled. You know what? And I think the same goes for us and, men that have some qualities our fathers do. That's kind of the way I think.
Yeah. I don't want to
Yeah,
sound all like incestual or anything, but I would love to marry my father.
that personality, how
Yeah.
kind-hearted and
Yeah,
honest
that kind
and
of take
yeah.
care of you no matter what. Like,
Exactly.
nice
Exactly.
guy.
So imagine having a father like this one. You know, a
Mm,
lot of me
mm,
thinks of
mm.
how he's so, in my opinion, narcissistic that he could very easily not only thought that this target, this person he was after was beautiful and he couldn't have her. I think he could also, along with that, have been very jealous about that. They get all of the attention. They could afford to go places. They
I
could,
mean, well, that goes back to what we were talking about. Like when I said that I think that he was like a peeping Tom towards his sisters or like
yeah,
jealous towards his sisters. Because look at their
yes,
careers. Look at what they came to be.
yes,
And they're gorgeous, like very attractive
yeah.
girls. And they
Before
were
getting fired because
older.
they were related to him.
I could see like his parents like doting on them because if it's true, like if that's him writing in those blogs,
Yeah.
do you remember those blogs? I think he might have been like 15, 16 maybe at the time if that's him.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
probably like he was going through a lot of things, like different
Mm-hmm.
issues. I'm sure he felt like a little like a bit of an outcast with his family, with his sisters doing so good and just being everything a family or parents would want, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just throwing things out there. I don't know. But that's kind of what
Well,
it
yeah.
looks like to me.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Well, I guess we're just gonna have to keep our eye open for more information and,
They're gonna give us nothing, Frankie. They're gonna give us
ah,
look at
it's just I know. I know. His eyes are flat, like I say, fish eyes. That's what it reminds me of, is fish eyes. Just, like, really nothing in there. He can make expressions, but he can't put anything behind it. Yeah. Like, he smiles, but there's nothing in the eyes.
Oh yeah, we just like block it. Nothing there.
Oh. I
Block.
think there's a lot of family secrets. His mom being an activist against the DP also is huge.
Nothing
Red
there.
flag.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'd rather see him a little chubby than that there. Like, there's that one picture
Well,
where
look at this drastic difference that he went from.
in 1 year. Yeah. The H diet, brutal.
Well, and they also saying that he was like on drugs during that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Such a pretty girl.
Yeah. May they all rest in peace.
Yeah.
It really does, Dandy. You're right. You're right. Well, MEKCI, what do you think? We've kept everybody going for a couple
Yes.
hours.
We burned the midnight oil, right?
Right. Well, it's really nice to do this. I was not around for a while there, so it's really nice to be in here with everybody
Yeah.
and yeah.
Glad to
Yeah.
have you back. Yeah, took a little mini vacay.
Yeah.
Had to decompress from the mini vacation.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And yeah, hubby's back to his regular schedule. And yeah, just see what we can do to keep getting the word out on these cases.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, love you too, Dandy. Sweet dreams to everybody. I adore you guys.
This was fun. It was fun.
It was so much fun.
Hopefully they put out those Richard Allen documents here soon too.
Oh my goodness.
Something else
Yeah.
to concentrate on.
Oh, absolutely. Like I've been watching those even when I wasn't really near my computer or anything along those lines. I was still making sure I was checking for those updates, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then Friday, oh, it'll be next week. Like,
I love when my
okay.
boyfriend, like Jerry, will text me like in the middle of the day and he'd be like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this?" And I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Right? Yeah, that is so awesome.
Oh yeah, I already heard about it. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, everybody, thanks again and have a great night.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button.
Yeah, subscribe and like, the two things I
And
always
share.
forget to request, and share.
And share. Don't forget to
I hope-
share.
Yeah. Thank you again. And you know what? I'm hoping to see y'all back in the next one.
Yes. Bye.
Night, guys. Bye.
Great luck.